Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Theorist, here with your host, Vanity Pride. I know I'm a day late with posting this video, but, it's just been a busy week. It's getting busy because of the holidays and stuff. This stupid camera thing still does not want to do any focusing. I tried playing around with the settings, so I kind of give up at this point. But anyway, we're going to jump into the usual thing. So Danganronpa first, okay? I did start watching Ultra Despair Girls as of Monday, and it was to stall my watching Danganronpa 2 because I left it at a point where I can still try and make predictions. Like, I would have loved to stop post fourth trial, so then I can guess like, oh, well, like, I'm gonna guess who's gonna die, which I kind of knew who was gonna die, so I didn't really want to, fake like, oh, I'm gonna guess this person, and it's like, oh, I got it right. Like, nah, I don't want to do that nonsense. So anyway, speaking of which, oh, and also for the fourth trial, I was so sad that it was Gundam Tanaka who did it and who got executed. I felt so bad for his hamsters too. I was like near tears, and it was just so sad. But definitely Trial 2 forever has my heart broken into pieces. Like that was so harsh. That's like my number one saddest execution, followed by the Gundam one probably. So it's interesting how like I know I trash talked Danganronpa 2 and was like, oh, this is trash. I actually freaking love that game. It's so great. And I love the characters. I feel like I like a lot more characters than I did in the first one. And then even in the first one, like, even that fourth trial, you guys know what I'm talking about. I mean, that broke me, too. And, like, that character that did what they did, I gained a lot more respect for them, basically. Because, like, I was kind of indifferent about them. Like, I didn't hate them. I didn't necessarily, like, fangirl over them, either. Like, I was like, okay, this character is pretty cool. And then they did that. And I was like, oh no, it's such a bummer. But yeah. So anyway, I'm just getting all carried away into other areas of Danganronpa. But I guess going back to Ultra Despair Girl, since I just started it too. So frickin' Monica so far sounds like Caillou. And that's just like, ugh. And then Kamaru, who is Makoto's sister, she's kind of annoying. Like, I really wanted to like her, but I'm still willing to give her a chance. Because it's like, you can't judge a book by its cover. And then if she undergoes any character development, any character growth, that'll be awesome. I should just stop using my hands because this is clearly, like, messing up the camera. Okay, there we go. All right. So, back to Danganronpa 2, Trial 5. So, obviously, Nagito has died. I've seen spoilers about it, so that's why I kind of knew that's where it was going. And I've been hyped up a lot about this trial. Like, it's so hype is what I've heard. So I was like, ooh, okay, like, I'm intrigued. So that's why I kept watching it, but then I had to, like, stop myself, and it's like, no, like, I want to still be able to make predictions on it. So anyway, I kind of figured it was a suicide, because that's just Nagito for you. Like, he is crazy enough to do something like that. But then, of course, he added a plot twist to it. And so it turns out that someone else is actually the killer because he didn't poison himself. One of the other people who threw the fire grenade that had the poison in it is actually the killer. And of course, Nagito, knowing his luck and stuff, because he is the ultimate lucky student, he just assumed that, whoever the traitor was the one who ended up throwing that fire grenade. And then speaking of traitor, Chiaki is claiming that she's the traitor. And I was suspecting of it, especially when she started to question Hajime a lot. And he's just like, why? And he's just getting all, like, nervous and shit. And then at the end of that, like, he has to, like, choose, like, who is the potential traitor in the group. And then, of course, it's Chiaki. And it's like, shit. But anyway, back to Nagito really, really quick. So even though his death was, like, all crazy and shit, right? Because he, like, tortured himself. And then, like, he, like, stabbed himself with, like, a knife. And then, like, the frickin' Spear of Gungnir. I mean, the Spear of Gungnir is kind of, like, a hint to me. I'm like, okay, that's how Junko supposedly died. But she didn't actually die. So I kind of have suspicions that Nagito is still alive. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out for a second. So I'm thinking there was that factory, right, on the 5th island that was producing, it looked like, not so much a mannequin, I guess more of a humanoid. And so I'm like, okay, like, what if Nagito actually got an idea to create a humanoid version of himself, somehow convinced Monokuma to do it, right? Because he was even talking to Monokuma, like, trying to figure out who the traitor was. And Monokuma wasn't gonna, like, open his mouth about it. But anyway, I suspect that that could be, like, the Nagito that died is actually one of those humanoids. Or Nagito found out that the Byakuya Togami they knew personally was actually the ultimate imposter. And I know the ultimate imposter from, like, the spoiler I saw, he also impersonates Ryota. I forget the last name, but you guys know who I'm talking about, hopefully. If not, this is news for you. But anyway, that got me thinking, and I'm like, oh, okay. So what if, you know, Nagito, and for this reason, like, for this prediction that I'm making right now, like, Nagito would either have to be the traitor or the mastermind in order for this to work. So that's why I'm suspecting that he's still alive. Plus the Spear of Gungnir, right? Like I said, that's what killed Junko, supposedly, even though it was really Mukuro who had killed. But, I mean, the Spear of Gungnir, like, it could highlight something, and Nagito could be the traitor or the mastermind, just saying. But anyway, with the knowledge of Byakuya Togami actually being the ultimate imposter, like, he could have grabbed the body of the ultimate imposter, disguised it as himself, and then done this whole, create this whole murder scene. And so then the real Nagito was, like, hiding somewhere in the shadows, watching his companions investigate the crime scene, right? So that is my suspicion. Because honestly, like, it is a Nagito thing for him to do this, to, like, you know, commit suicide, but then, like, pin the blame on someone else. Like, I know he's complicated like that, and he would plan something like that, but I feel like his exit falls short. Like, there's something fishy about it, and that's just not the way for Nagito to go, honestly. Those are my thoughts. I guess I'm just being, like, hopeful that he's still alive, even though he's a little shit, even though he's annoying, and some people hate him. I get that. I love him, but yeah, those are my suspicions. I'm like, I don't think he's really dead. I think he's alive, and, like, that's just someone else who's dressed up as Nagito. Anyway, back to the whole Chiaki being a traitor thing. Because it looks like Chiaki is actually affiliated with the Future Foundation. Like, especially if that journal of Monomi's, which was actually written by Chiaki, what am I trying to say? Sorry, lost my train of thought. So, okay, backtrack. Monomi has this journal that Hajime found in Nagito's room, and he was looking through some of the entries, and there was one precisely about him, and him trying to go to that final dead room. Back when they were on the 4th floor, locked in that, like, grape house, strawberry house thing. So, I mean, Chiaki was the only one who knew about it. I mean, very well, Monomi could have written about it, but, you know, in this case, it was like Chiaki was the only witness. And so that's why, you know, she's claiming to be the traitor. It's kind of points in her direction, but I don't think she's the actual traitor, especially if she's affiliated with the Future Foundation, which Future Foundation isn't bad. Monokuma's just making it sound bad. But anyway, I feel like Chiaki might be keeping an eye on Hajime because he's actually the traitor, but she's seen him for who he is, and, you know, he's not a bad person. So I think she's kind of willing to take one for the team by being like, oh, I'm the traitor, vote for me, kill me off, so you guys can, you know, keep fighting against the mastermind, and Hajime is basically going to lead you guys. So I know it's crazy thinking, but, you know, it kind of makes sense, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, that's, I guess, my prediction for what will happen next. So I'm excited to watch that tonight, finally, because I wanted to make predictions first before diving into it anymore. But yeah, so it's crazy. I'm almost done watching Danganronpa 2. It's pretty surreal how quickly I've gotten through it. Anyway, now we get to talk Tower of God. You guys have had to endure like 9 minutes of me talking about Danganronpa. I'm sorry. All right, so we'll try and make this quick-ish, even though this is like the main dish of my reviews. But anyway, new arc name we're getting this chapter. So this is chapter 327, as I mentioned earlier. We're on the 44th floor, the last station, Calavan, part 1, which is actually quite fitting because, you know, we get to hear a little bit about Calavan's past with Jin-sung. So we'll kind of review a little bit of that. And then, of course, you know, we're kind of getting formally introduced to him in this chapter. So Jin-sung basically stops Calavan and his men, and he's like, hey, you guys can't get any further than this. You're gonna have to, like, face me off before you even try to get to the last station. And so he feels he's being ignored. So then Jin-sung has this Bayuen character who is a anti-threat cyborg basically produce this weapon. And so the weapon turns out to be a Shinzu cannon that Jin-sung took from El Robina. So it's the ultimate combat weapon against high rankers. And then he says, as I'm sure you're well aware, El Robina is one of the deadliest anti-personnel weapons in existence. Do you think your warship will be able to teleport after taking a direct hit from this? And so we get to see this green-haired person and this other dude who is the 3rd Division Commander, Neono Wan. And honestly, they make me think of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, the outfit just screams Star Wars to me. So that's my random little tidbit about them. But anyway, they're freaking out, like, oh my gosh, like, what do we do? And then Calavan's like, oh, chill out, like, I'm just gonna step outside and face this dude. And so, obviously, it appears they know each other, because it's like, oh, hey, Calavan's like, hey, long time no see. And then Jin-sung's like, oh, I've been babysitting. And then another part of his babysitting job is to stop Calavan from getting to the last station. Calavan takes this as a cue, like, oh, hey, like, we're gonna face off, him and me, one-on-one. So he sends his other men away. And that's where eventually we get to a flashback point. So with Jin-sung first, he's thinking to himself, how long has it been? Around 3,000 years. Since the first time I saw him, I went looking for a place no one had ever been to because I heard some interesting rumors. Rumors about a ranker guarding something called the Essence of Bravery. So then we go back in time, some 3,000 years, to an unexplored area in the tower, a wild area beyond the influence of the ruler, in what's called the Miyabuchan village. And so it's obvious that Jin-sung faced against him, and, you know, he's impressed with the strength that Calavan has. And he's like, oh, well, you know, it's weird that a guy with, like, such amazing power as yourself is here just guarding some gem. And so he basically convinces him, like, oh, hey, like, you should do more. Like, don't just sit here, or well, don't just stand here and guard this gem. Like, you could actually use this power in the tower rather than just keeping guard of some gem. Because he says here, it's such a waste for you to be tied down here. Why would a ranker like you come back to this place? Wait, don't tell me. Is the essence of bravery really keeping you from moving on with your life? The Essence of Bravery, a legendary gem said to contain the wisdom of all fighting. I heard your family has been guarding it for countless generations. The strongest ranker in the village guards it, and when a new ranker appears, he comes back to the village to fight the ranker who is guarding that gem. And whichever ranker survives inherits the duty of protecting the gem, right? But then, I mean, it's just basically people killing each other, and then Calavan's family line was the only one to really survive any of this, so now it's just like a bunch of, like, fathers and sons killing each other, based on what Jin-sung says. And then he says, but you know, bravery doesn't get any greater by keeping it locked up in a place like that. True bravery only becomes greater when you have it within yourself. In that body of yours, I mean, you need to have bravery within you for it to mean something. Your bloodline has already produced you as its ultimate achievement. You have a right to that power. And so after hearing those words, Calavan eventually does, you know, knock over, like, the bronze statue, and then he smashes the bronze statue, and he obtains that essence of bravery. And so Jin-sung comes back after some time, and he sees that Calavan kind of has this aura around him of Shinzu, right? Anyway, let me just read what Jin-sung says. There was a peaceful flow of Shinzu running through his whole body. His body and mind were so sharply in tune with each other that it actually gave me chills. He already seemed more than capable of becoming a high ranker. I have no idea what was in the essence of bravery, but the most important thing is that he was a vessel worthy of containing it. And so then, of course, he tried to convince him to become a slayer for Foog, but Calavan refused, and that's as far as their relationship went. And then eventually Caliban, after like centuries of training, decided to go on a journey and become a high ranker and started making a name for himself in the tower. Since then, he has thought every great warrior he encountered and made them all bow before him, immediately taking on anyone he likes as servants and making them work for him. As a result, he earned himself the nickname the Human Hunter. And then Caliban's like, I appreciate the kindness you showed me back then. This is now present time. Thanks to you, I gained and lost a great deal. And then Jin Sung's like, you joined Zahard's army in spite of knowing that your teacher is in Foog. Did it ever occur to you that you might have to fight me someday? Oh yeah, can I just point out real quick too, Jin Sung reminds me so much of Spike. Like, there were a few panels in this chapter that I was just like, oh my gosh, Spike. And I mean, the whole smoking habit as well. And I mean, you guys know that I'm involved in the Tower of God dub on YouTube. And I voice Roselle. And then I'm hoping to voice someone in season 2. I just gotta like submit my auditions. But anyway, I have talked to Joe already before about recruiting whoever's gonna voice Jin Sung Ha. He has to do like a Spike Spiegel voice. Like, seriously, it's just perfectly fitting, and I would love that. But, you know, we'll see what happens. I trust Joe's judgment. I mean, the cast on that project is phenomenal. So, I mean, everyone's just amazing, and I'm so honored to be part of that project. All right. I'm not going to get emotional, guys. So, back with Caliban, he says here, if we ever fought again with this power of mine, I was sure I wouldn't lose. And then Jin Sung's like, you're going to break this old man's heart. Don't be so goddamn arrogant. And this is basically where we leave off with them. So their fight is just starting. And Jin Sung's power, obviously, is more powerful than Caliban's. But I'm really excited to see what Caliban has in store for his next attack in the next chapter. For now, we go back to Evankel. And basically, the ruler of the 44th floor, Kun Royale Elliot, is here to face off against Evankel. And Evankel's like, well, the real dangerous one has finally come out. And I must say, I love this line from Elliot. If you know how dangerous I am, stop fighting and raising hell on my floor and get out of here right now. And let me just point out, I think it's so cool to see a member of the Kun family as a ruler of a floor. Like, that's super cool. It didn't even register that this dude, you know, had like some Kun characteristics. I guess like the horns kind of threw me off a little bit. Is this Kun and Andrasi's love child that we don't know about? They were together. Anyway, don't mind me and my random shipping. But anyway, just to sum this up real quick, it's so cool to see this Elliot guy having ice powers as he's facing off against Evankel. Of course, the Kun family is known for like their ice power, and then you've got Evankel with fire, so it's like opposites, right? So it's gonna be super awesome to see how this battle goes down between them. So then, of course, that's where we leave off with them before like the real action happens. And so we're back with we're back with Bomb and Andrasi and them. And then Wang Nan is freaking out like, oh my gosh, no, it's not him. It's Candy. She's like, oh, she's burning everything, in regards to Evankel, of course. And so Yuri uses like that green power thingamajig, like that green flubber looking stuff, to transport them to another area. So, I mean, they're still like, you know, close by, I guess you could say. They're actually closer to where Bomb and Group are. Because if they had stayed where they were, then they would have gotten burnt to a crisp. Even Xianhe's like, why did you do this to Yuri? And Yuri's like, well, they're your hostages. They're supposed to be kept alive. If they would have stayed there, they would have died. And so then Bomb has Andrasi bong them closer to their friends so then they can save them. But meanwhile, they're like, no, like, well, more particularly, Wang Nan's like, no, it's too dangerous, stay away. And precisely, this dude gets between Bomb and Co. and Sachi and Co. And it is a ranker. And I think we may have been introduced to him before. I forget his name right now. But he does remind me a lot of Quant Blitz. So I'm wondering if he is from the Blitz family or maybe just like some distant relative of the Blitz family. Because it would make a lot of sense, I feel. But yeah, so that is pretty much the chapter. Like I said, I couldn't find the blog notes. I only found like the blog image, which was kind of cute because it's like bomb bungee jumping, and then Kun and Rock are like at the top of like the cliff. I don't know what you guys want to call it. It wasn't really a cliff. It almost looked like a construction crane. I don't know. Anyway, that is pretty much it. So, as usual, guys, leave your comments below of your theories, your thoughts on this chapter and what's to come next. I'm really excited for these battles. I mean, Jinsung versus Caliban. You've got Kun Elliot versus Evancal, and then Bomb versus this Ranker dude. So it's getting spicy, I guess. Spicy is probably not the best word. That sounds more like a bedroom term, but you guys get what I'm saying, though. It's been a long day, so don't mind me. But anyway, I will catch you guys next time. Peace.